still rolling. I'm just writing down my notes.
All right, well, I got my notes right in front of me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name's Chris. And not sitting across from me, but sitting across from me digitally, is Mr. Michael Yadvish.
Digitally.
Hey, digital. Welcome to episode 9 of Until You Make It. And we kind of last minute decided to do a little live stream for y'all. So we're live on the Helium Journal YouTube channel right now. We're not sure who's going to tune in, but we figured we got the technology. And
we have the means for spiders to talk with rats.
It's Always Sunny reference there.
Yeah.
Oh man, is that a wine glass? A wine glass? You drinking wine?
A little Merlot in the evening to talk to you, Chris.
What has Jackie turned you into, man?
It softens me up when I speak to you.
I got good old fashioned water. Where's your fruit
water? You know what? We haven't made fruit water in a very, very long time.
You've been fruit water since you made it for me.
It died with you.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, anyway, good to see you. Even though I just saw you like 20 minutes ago when I gave you that microphone.
You did? I don't remember.
Yeah. So, what's on the agenda, Mike? I don't know. You haven't been on the show in like months.
That's true. For our viewers, I took a hiatus.
He's finally back. Did you listen to the last show with Tyler?
No, it did.
You did?
I did.
Oh, you did.
I did.
I was about to get offended.
I would never.
Yeah, it was a good show. He was a real nice guy.
Yeah, he was.
We had fun on that show. But yeah, I don't know, a few things on the agenda today. I made the title for this video Q&A / demo reels / The Mandalorian and more, because that was all I could remember that we were talking about.
Oh, the Q&As.
Yeah, we should still do that at some point. Just like general Q&A stuff on your channel, because I think more people would tune in than on Helium. But yeah, that would be fun. But I don't know. You want to lead off with your thing you were talking about demo reels and stuff?
Yeah. So
because I thought that was interesting.
There's been an interesting thing that you've been working on, and also, I mean, I've been trying to work on one, but yours is a lot more, way further along than mine is, and that's a demo reel, and something that I know you started talking about because you haven't made one since college, basically, and it just brought up a thing of like, what is the importance of demo reels? Because we talked about this of when do you make a demo reel? Because really the only time you need to really make one is when you're seeking a job or coming out of college and applying for something, and then you get a job and you start working in the field, and then there's no need to keep up on it. Next thing you know, 3 years later, what do you have to show for the work that you did in those 3 years? Is it important to have something to show for that work you did in 3 years? And then how important is a demo reel to like the clientele or the client or employer that you're sending it to? Because we know that you can watch these things for 5 seconds and just turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
So how the heck do you get around that? What the heck do you do to make a demo reel interesting? I would like to talk about the demo reel that you made and why I think it's interesting and why I think it stands out.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, we were just chatting, me and you, about just briefly before, about how I've only had to really look through demo reels for like hiring somebody one time. But in general, I think everyone kind of gets that idea that, your demo reel is the best of the best stuff that you have. And it really is your first impression to anybody to get an idea of what kind of creator you are. Specifically for video, photo, if it's a creative kind of reel you're creating. So it's got to be good,
Yeah.
And people will notice when it's not good. So specifically in a hiring situation, if I'm looking through demo reels and I see stuff that's, not great looking, lighting wise, editing wise, anything like that, I have so many other reels that I have to get to anyway that are probably going to be
Right.
better than that, that it's an automatic no in the first 5 seconds. And so it's extraordinarily important to capture that attention and present something super high quality in that first 5 seconds. So
Well, there's so many different types of demo reels, and I think this is an interesting thing too, because even Jackie, who's uh, one of our close friends, my girlfriend and actress, who is always trying to update her acting reel. And then one of the times, the first time that I helped her try to make an acting reel, I was trying to come at it from a editing perspective of trying to make the thing interesting, because just because we watched so many acting reels of other people, and they're basically just clips back to back to back to back, clip after clip after clip, and they're not like edited in a nice way. They're not edited together like in an interesting way. But I was trying. I mean, we did not end up going with the full like idea, the full like edit idea, because I was trying to edit the thing. It's like, oh, what if we edit it in such a way where the actual thinking about it as like a video piece rather than a demo reel, where the video itself is actually entertaining to watch, and you know, maybe that would capture someone's attention um, better than just sitting through these 15 to 30-second clips that you have no context for, and you're just watching someone act, and I don't even know what the heck, I don't even know what you're looking for when it comes to acting reels. Those are really hard to put together. And then I mean,
yeah,
because even myself, I have an action reel, and that from a perspective of editing, where I tried to, well, it doesn't really show off that much because it was mostly edited to be like a video. So it was a lot of like cutting on action, or like just things that go back to back that look nice, or like goes to the beat of the music or whatever. And it's like sacrifices clarity of what I do
mm-hmm.
in favor of trying to make an entertaining video that's like cool.
Yeah, I mean, so the way I kind of think about it too is if someone's invested in, like, there's a difference between making a demo reel for entertainment purposes versus making a demo reel for, like, if you're specifically going after a single job. Because someone who's really trying to vet you as a potential, um, person to work for them, they'll, that 5 seconds might be more like 15 or 30. Like, they'll watch longer to, like, properly vet you, as long as it doesn't look like complete garbage. But I
Right.
totally get where you're coming from, that balance of entertainment and whatnot. I'm curious, did you, because I've never really seen that many acting demo reels.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember you talking about trying to make Jackie's, and it's kind of funny because, in a way, like, in editing, cinematography demo reel is usually high energy and, like, fast paced, and, like, you can get a lot of visuals in very quickly. But acting is kind of like because you have to show longer clips, and, like, I,
Right.
I don't know, what is that
So
like?
so I didn't go that. So my approach to editing her acting reel, the first the first time I took a crack at it, uh, it was really funny. We edited the clips and we did stark contrast. So we just basically, because she had like, I evaluated all the work that she had, all the clips she picked out. Like, okay, these are what she thinks are the best clips, and there are different genres of movies and different types of acting. So I would just take something that was scary and then match it with something that was funny, or go from something funny to something scary, but do it in an interesting way where it made you laugh, or it gave you a reaction as you were watching the
Right.
acting reel. So I basically took advantage of the contrast of movies and work that she had,
Yeah.
and found different ways to edit them, to cut from one clip to the other before one clip is done, and then go back to the other clip. And almost, I think I intercut a comedy scene that she did with Josh, one of our acting friends.
Sure.
Um, spliced that together with date night. And so it went
Right.
from a boyfriend girlfriend arguing in a comedy,
Yeah.
to a boyfriend girlfriend in date night which is like horror comedy. But I used all the horror aspects of date night, and then it made it really funny.
Yeah,
But
I mean that's a great idea. I mean, because you still have complete control over how you edit your content together. So that's pretty much the only thing you can really do in an acting reel to like really spice it up.
we went
It
in
depends
the
on what
safer.
kind of stuff you act into, though.
Yeah, we ended up not going with it. We went with like the safer, more traditional approach, and
Hang on, wait. I have something to say to that.
yeah. Is that a tomato? That was so long.
See, the fun part about this is I get to use my soundboard that I use for streaming.
Can you also use your voice manipulations?
Yeah. Oh, I totally forgot. I was gonna do. Wait. Ready? All right, here. Let's get this gag out of the way real quick.
Hi, Michael.
Oh.
It's Chris, your best friend. I know where you live.
No, you gotta sit down. You gotta be the witness to the murder, but you don't want to be on camera.
It was about 10 o'clock. I was sitting by the window, and Mike came in and started strangling me.
Oh, usually they don't have the victim on as the witness.
No, they don't. Alright, it's over.
Yeah, that was fun. I had fun. Oh, I gotta put my thing back. Oh yeah, I'm still recording. There we go. All right, we're back. So anyway, Greggy G Film says, "Is this Night Stalker on Netflix?" What do you mean, Greggy? And also, yeah, thanks, Chris. We'll try and do more air horn sound effects eventually.
Oh wait, can I see the chat?
Yeah, if you go on live stream, you can see the chat. Hey Rob, thanks for tuning in. Nah, the sandwich deal is only on the other channel.
That's what I thought too. I thought the sandwich deal was on this channel. I was gonna tune in.
Oh, the voice, Greggy. No, I have no idea what it is. I think it's supposed to be like Jigsaw style from the Saw films. It's just like a voice changer though. It's funny. But thanks for tuning in, man.
Watching myself on the stream.
So anyway, yeah, acting demo reels are kind of a different beast. Friend of Ryan's. Very nice. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
They are, and they get looked at by different people too.
Yeah,
so it's a whole different like demographic of employer that you're sending them to. Which, I mean, see your demo reel, because I want to talk about that because it's nothing unlike I've seen before going through demo reels. But I mean, to be fair, I go through a lot of action demo reels just because, I want to see what people are putting out there. I want to see what people are doing. I want to see how it compares to, the stuff that I do. But I've never seen anybody put together a reel like you have, that you did.
Right. Well, so to let everyone know, I'm working on a piece right now that's kind of an updated demo reel, but it's kind of like a hybrid. So I've been doing a lot in this setup literally right here for the Helium Turtle channel. Doing behind the scenes stuff, doing any kind of stuff I feel like making. And my whole thing is just casual, down to earth conversation, talking about what we love to do, like we're doing right now. It's it's just the way I like to present myself, and I have a lot of fun doing it. So I was like, why don't I put that energy into my updated demo reel? And instead of making just like a compilation of like the best shots or like my coolest things I've done, why don't I actually just talk about them like while I show them? Which is what I've been doing for the channel. So it's kind of, it's not a very traditional demo reel, but from my perspective, it only adds to what it is. I don't know. Do you kind of feel the same way, Mike?
I feel like the way you structured it, and just to be clear to the audience, what Chris did was go on like a podcast style, just like you said, live stream style. But he talks to the audience, talks to the person watching the video, but does it in a way where his personality shows and shines through. It's not like scripted. He's not reading from a teleprompter. He doesn't feel stiff. He feels very personable. So not only do you get the work, but you get the man behind the work within the same video.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to come through, because it's almost like, that first impression that we're talking about with the demo reel, like the first 5 seconds, right? Or the first 15 seconds, whatever. It's like that's what someone's going to judge you on. And now they have even this additional thing to judge on, which is your appearance, how you present yourself. Mm-hmm. And if that's good, that's like 2 birds with 1 stone, because that's almost what you get in the interview right away from meeting someone.
It's almost like you're undercutting the interview and just kind of cutting that part out.
Skipping ahead a little bit.
But I think but again, also another element to that too is why you don't see that is that it speaks more. It doesn't even matter what you say in the video. The fact that you are able to get in front of the camera and start speaking and just putting yourself on camera and the confidence that shows, that's something that is hard for people to do.
Yeah. So
not only, whatever you say is what you say and how you come across, but just the fact that you did that, even that it's on its own shows a lot. So I think it blended really well with the work that you put into the video, the work that you showcased, but also it told a little story, which I really liked. And I really liked how it showed off your personality a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like that stuff will go a long way.
It's kind of an editing thing too, because it is kind of like, I put a little narrative together. So it's like, there's a little test of my skill right there too. So it's got all these things going for it. And I haven't put it out there yet, so I don't know how people will react to it. But everyone I've told so far is like, yeah, it sounds like a great idea. So hopefully it is. Like I said, that's just kind of the way I feel comfortable producing content now, and everyone seems to like it. So I'm running with it. So if anybody else wants to steal that idea, go ahead. I think it's great. If I was hiring somebody, I think I would like to see that. So.
Oh, I'd be incredibly impressed.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
So
anyway,
what I think is cool is that your reel, unlike some of the reels that we just talked about, acting,
I'm real,
action, cinematography. Yours isn't just one thing. That's why I think having you speak on video is also so important, and just makes sense, because it's not just like, say you were going to make just a cinematography reel. Yeah. Would you still put yourself on that video and talk over it? Maybe not. If it was purely just to show off your cinematography, what would you do?
As you're saying this, now I'm wondering, could you apply this same thing to an acting reel? What is there really what is there stuff to talk about that could integrate that? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here, because you said, if it was just a cinematography, it was like, could you apply this to other things? There probably is a way.
You probably could.
Yeah. I don't know.
Done in a creative way.
Greggy says if it's a silent film, then yes. Very good, Greggy. Yeah. That leaves a lot of room for taking it with that taking it that way. But yeah. I don't know. Food for thought.
It's neat stuff. I mean, how important is a demo reel really?
I mean, well, I'll put it to you this way. Me personally, and my boss was the same way when he hired me at where I am now at McAllen. The demo reel is more important than the resume. Like,
yes,
I mean,
I agree with that.
And this is kind of, you hear this too, of like, in creative positions like ours, it's like, do I really care if you went to a good school? Not really. What the hell can you do with a camera? Like, show me your skills. And it's just so funny. Like, now that I'm in that position of like, around coworkers and like in a growing company, is like, yeah, of course. Like I would rather have somebody that could make awesome content rather than someone that if theoretically could make awesome content because they went to a good school. And I say my boss too is because he sifted through and he showed me like NYU demo reels that were just trash. And he's like, "Really? You went to NYU and this is what you did with your thing?" And
I've heard things about NYU, not to bash NYU,
but yeah.
That's a lot of film schools and film majors in general.
So anyway, yeah, it's what you do that defines you.
Yeah.
Except, that's when you're trying to get a job, that's what defines you.
Well, see, sometimes I use my demo reel as a quick way to show somebody what, oh, you make action movies, or like, oh yeah, or like someone says, or if I'm with somebody and like, oh yeah, Mike makes action movies or whatever, or lightsaber movies, or whatever they describe, whatever they say.
And what probably comes to mind when people say that is like, amateur-y,
yeah.
And then you show them Apex and you're like, oh, never mind.
Oh. Right. But do you show them a 5-minute movie or do you show them a 60-second reel? Because you don't want to waste their time in the moment. I don't know. I use mine as a quick way just to show people what it is that we do, rather than use it as like a job thing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean that's what it's kind of like a business card in that way. Of like, here's my brand. Here's what I'm all about.
Well, based on what you just said, do you think you should update and make a new demo reel every single year to recap the year? Should you always be updated?
Every year might be. I mean, it depends what you do. That's the thing. I think you make a new demo reel when you feel you have enough new content that is better than your old stuff. That's the thing.
Right.
Because I didn't really feel that way until we made Apex, and I was like, okay, this is a new level of production. And then you take a look at your old stuff, and you're like, yeah, you have to update. I mean, you'd be amazed too. I mean, because I might not even have felt that way before Apex, before Date Night, before any of that. But if I looked, probably, yeah, I did have enough to make a new one, because you don't realize how much you progress even in like a year of doing crazy. The same thing. If you just look back at your, it never fails. I'm always looking at a stuff that's like a year old and be like, oh, I could have done this so much better now.
I feel the same way.
It's the never-ending progress, which is good. It's a good thing. Greggy says the choreography was better than the last Star Wars movie. Well done. Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it. He's talking about Apex. I thought you meant just the new Star Wars, but thank you, man. We try hard. Yeah. We bear 13 nights of 40-degree weather to try and surpass the films, which I'm not saying we did, but we came close.
I was thinking about this the other day, or yesterday rather, of like, why do we make lightsaber movies, or what, or basically maybe it's more of a personal question. Why do I?
I was like, or even I was gonna say because you want to.
Because I want to.
I want to. It's fun.
I think the point of them is that, well, there's a lot of different reasons, but one of them being that we just want to make content within that universe, that we want to make the Star Wars stuff that we want to see, really. Because like, why are you using the brand? It's not our IP. It's not, we didn't make Star Wars, but we wanted to make the type of movie or the type of choreography or the type of cinema that we want to see in that genre that we have not seen before. Exactly. It's a lot of experimental. Almost every single one of our lightsaber movies has something in it that either we've never seen before, we've never done before personally, or has never been done in that realm before. So they're all experimental.
Yeah, I touch on that in my demo role I was working on. Is like Helium Turtle is like that's the place where we really get to be like that hyper creative, where it's just like it's well, I said, and it's true. It's all about learning, right?
Mhm.
I want to try those things that we've never seen before, just to see if we can do them. And at the end of the day, no matter what happens, we learn from that. And who would have known we would have been able to make a rain machine, use smoke in that way so effectively, and we're gonna bring that to other projects now. I already have another project idea where we could use the rain machine, when it gets warm out enough again.
Oh, that'd be nice.
But yeah, imagine having
Warm
warm
rain.
rain. Yeah.
It'd actually feel refreshing if it was hot out.
If it was, what the fuck was that?
But
Did you hear that? Was
I
that
did. What was it?
Was that in my house or your house?
That was in your house.
I have no idea what that was. It sounded like somebody
Was
just
it-
screamed.
Yeah, it was like in the background. It was like in the background of my headset.
Give me
That
like
was
a second here. I'll be right back.
Uh-oh.
Talk to the fans.
Are there any? I'll talk to the spirits of your room. Are there any ghosts here that wanna say something? Who's in the chat? I need to see the chat. I gotta pull up my phone first. Give me a second. Okay. Oh, there I am. Delayed. That's interesting. Well, Chris will be right back. His house may be haunted. We both heard someone scream in our headsets, but no one screamed. Did you scream, Jack? I know someone screamed in the background.
All right, I'm back.
You survived.
Yeah, it was just my mom sneezing.
Oh,
Well,
Mrs. Lundy.
it happened at the same time we were laughing, so I couldn't hear clearly what it was. But yeah, she sneezes loud sometimes. So yeah, what were we talking about? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Learning stuff.
Yes, experimenting, learning, using
Cheers.
rain.
Oh, jeez, that was funny. I know somebody.
Speaking of Star Wars, did you see season 2 of The Mandalorian, Chris?
Yes, I did. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
So did I. I did. I jumped ship on one episode.
You jumped ship on an episode? Wait, can I guess which
Yeah.
one it was?
Yeah.
Can I? I don't remember. I see they all kind of blend together in my head. I don't remember individual episodes.
It was episode 2.
Yeah, which one was that?
I don't know, with that weird fish lady with the eggs.
Yeah,
Like
the
frog.
fish lady with the eggs.
I stopped watching after the first 10 minutes.
Was
I
that
stopped
the
watching after
that
the
was the
first 10
one
minutes.
where see, I don't remember what happened. But anyway, wait, you literally
Yeah.
stopped watching? Why?
I just shut it off. We tried watching it, and we just like 10 minutes in, we're like, what the hell are we watching? What is happening? What is this? Is this even the same show? I did not like the writing. I did not like the direction. I hated it.
I wish I could remember more clearly what happened, but so did you wind up even finishing it? Like
So
that
I went on-
episode?
I stopped watching I think I started again around episode 4 or 5. 5, I think, is when I came back. So I rewatched. I didn't even watch 2. I just skipped over it. Watched 3, 4, and 5. I think I came back and caught up on episode 6.
Well, because the episode right after that with the freaking ice spiders was like, that was an intense scene.
Wait, that was the episode I'm talking about.
Oh, I thought that was the episode after that.
No, the ice spiders was episode 2.
Oh, that was all self-contained? I forgot.
It was like later in the episode.
Oh, yeah, like the last 10. Yeah, seeing Chris in the chat. The episode with all the spiders, F that, he says. Yeah, dude, that got creepy at the end. But yeah, I do remember that now, kind of being, it was just like a
There
Yeah,
was a lot of
just like a
campy writing
plotty
and
kind of
jokes.
episode.
There was no plot. It was like a no plot episode.
Well,
I felt like.
I meant there was one plot, you know? It was
right,
like
right.
it was just like, "Oh, go here." And then that
See,
was just the journey to that place.
I didn't know where the show was going. Like I
Well,
didn't
you
know
had
where
to know it was going somewhere good.
I didn't know that.
Come
Not
on,
based on that
man.
episode. No, because I was like,
The first
what is
episode
happening?
though was
First
awesome
episode
visual effects and like
yes.
the characters were good.
I was hoping season 2 was going to do something different than season 1.
Okay.
And change because the stakes got higher.
Yeah. I will admit that the first episode of the second season was a lot of the same. I mean, you could say that.
Right. I just felt like
it wasn't a bad thing, but
I thought the stakes of the plot and the characters was higher. And after where it ended off, that season 2 would do something different, and the pace would change, and it would be a little more like on edge, and just have a different pacing to the episodes, or a different pacing to the plot, or be more plot focused to move the story along. And it didn't. And then episode 2 had a bunch of, it was like the first time. So what's interesting is that season 2, episode 2 is directed by Peyton Reed. Well, it wasn't written by Peyton Reed, maybe partly, but it was directed by Peyton Reed. Peyton Reed also directed the last episode. Totally different. Like I hated the one episode, loved the last episode. Peyton Reed is also the same writer and director of Ant-Man 1 and 2. He comes from like a comedy action background, mostly comedy though. So there was a lot of comedic things in episode 2 that felt super out of place to me. That didn't make sense. Like, what the hell is happening? Why is Mando making jokes? Like, or like, what is this?
Right.
And like, it just kind of turned me off. And I was like, I just want, what is this? I thought it was a joke. Like I thought when they were setting it up, like, oh, you got to bring this lady and her eggs to this place. It's like, is this a joke?
Well, yeah,
what is this?
And then they tried to guilt him by being like, "Oh, I thought Mandalorians never broke a promise," and I was like, "All right, that's getting a little nitpicky." And like, what does he care, right?
I don't know. Like he doesn't care. I don't care.
It should be they don't break promises that like actually matter. Like that didn't actually matter. By the way, Mr. Tom Bevins in the chat says hello.
Hey, Tom. Good to see you.
I said he said hi while you were talking about the show. I said one moment he's deep in criticism. But yeah, it was fun.
But after I got past that, that episode. I loved it. Loved the rest of
Chris said he thought the first episode was absolutely insane. Yeah, that and I gotta admit, I was very impressed by the visual effects of that monster in this first episode.
Oh, the Crate Dragon.
I had it the Crate Dragon. Oh, they nailed that, man. With the jetpacks and they're like flying all over the place. Holy crap. That was cool. Really but yeah, what else did you say, Chris? They crushed it. You're picturing Danny Cordry from The Office as Boba Fett? I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is? I'm not up to. I never watched The Office, so I'm not familiar.
The Office. Danny Cordry. Is it the name of the actor?
Oh, but yeah, Carl Weathers. Sorry, I'm reading the chat as if you can see it.
I can't see it. I can see it in my phone if I pull it up.
Tom says the Crate Dragon episode is the top 3 of the whole series. I mean, yeah, it may.
Top 3
it's
whole
up there.
Series?
It's pretty good, but I feel like only the end of that episode was like amazing. I guess that made up for the rest of it because the rest of the episode was a little slow. But
there's 2 other episodes in that season alone that I think
Ahsoka
could be in the top 3. The Ahsoka episode,
yeah. And they introduced the Beskar staff in that too, and I love that thing.
Yep,
thought that was cool. I don't know, Tom. Mike disagrees with you.
There's already and the last episode. So what else?
Yeah,
what else
the
is
last
not in your
episode.
top 3?
Yeah, tell him, Mike. You tell him. Chris says Timothy Olyphant. Is that how you pronounce that?
Timothy Olyphant.
Played Danny. Oh, Corey. It must have been a typo. Danny Corey in The Office.
Oh, he thought he was Boba Fett.
No, he wanted him to be Boba Fett.
Oh.
Now they got so many names going. Like, wait, who wants who to be who?
I feel like that would have been a weird casting choice. I feel like what they did was absolutely perfect and amazing that they were able to get.
How do you feel about Bill Burr in the?
Oh,
I love him.
well, I love Bill Burr.
I didn't hear if there was any like. Did people like that in general? I don't know. I thought he was great.
So Bill has been. Bill's been quoted for making fun of Star Wars and making fun of Star Wars fans.
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah. And he still does. He doesn't have any shame.
Oh yeah, well he doesn't care. Yeah.
He doesn't care.
He
And
just is funny.
no, when he was approached by Jon Favreau, it was like at a party. It was like at a kids' party that he was approached to have the role. They had him in mind to do the role too, which was interesting.
Yeah, I think they said they literally wrote it for him. Like
yeah.
They thought of him when they were writing it because I guess they wanted that kind of demeanor with like they wanted a guy cracking jokes with a snarky attitude.
They wanted to bring a Boston accent to Star Wars.
Exactly, yeah. The Boston attitude.
See, I liked him. I liked him in season 1 rather when he had that one-off episode. I was like, oh, that's nice. He had a cameo. But then when they brought him back for his episode in season 2, I thought that was really, really well done. And I thought the whole aspect, not even just his character, but the story that they were telling about. Do you remember that sit down they had? They're at the table.
Sorry, in the season 2 episode.
Yeah, where he's talking to that Imperial officer.
Yeah, I love that scene.
And Bill's going through his head, like you can see it. You can see it on. It was great acting. You see it on his face.
Yeah,
the moments before he shot.
That was probably too one of the. There were probably 2 moments where I was like open mouth agape, in the season 2, and that was one of them when he shoots the officer. Because what a great build to that scene, and you're right, it was just great acting and Bill to really be like, combined with the fact that he has his helmet off and everything, it was just a great build,
I thought it gave his character a good story arc, which didn't have before. He had no arc before, basically. I thought that was beautiful. I thought it was really cool to see some of the insight on what the Imperials think. Some of that war propaganda that they were talking about, some of that PTSD.
Yeah, because they never get into that stuff, man. And it's like, well, that's why a lot of people are saying too is like they'd love to see even a whole show from the Empire point of view. Of like, it's never gone into that much. So when it does happen, people seem to love it, and I certainly did.
Dude, one of the most interesting and missed opportunities. One of the most interesting things that I thought in The Last Jedi, as much as like you could talk about The Last Jedi, there's a very interesting one-off line that never gets talked about and never gets dived into, which I thought was huge missed opportunities when Benicio del Toro, they're like in the ship with like him and Finn and Rose or something, and he brings up this hologram and it's like, we sell to the good guys and the bad guys. And he talks about how the whole war is about money and selling. He talks about he brings up this little thing about like selling X-Wings and selling ships, and how like these arms dealers will sell to the good and to the bad. And he just says it, but like that's so interesting. Like that aspect of it never gets talked about anywhere else, and they never dive any deeper than that surface level of just having that one-off line. It never gets explored. It never gets nothing. Yeah. It's just like, it was one of the most interesting things. It was the only interesting about his character, but of that movie.
Did you like the stutter or no?
That
was his choice, supposedly.
I could have said no.
I think I remember reading that was his acting call, that he wanted to bring something to the character.
They could have just said no.
Yeah.
I don't want you to do that.
Yeah. There's a lot of things they could have done with that movie, but they didn't. So let's just leave well enough alone.
I feel like I didn't add anything.
Yeah, it was kind of,
But I think the root of this conversation goes to the last episode of The Mandalorian and what you think about deep fakes.
Okay, so I have a few things to say about this. So if anyone isn't familiar, in the last episode of season 2 of The Mandalorian,
Spoilers. Stop watching now.
yeah, the spoiler alert, so to speak. But they brought back old Luke Skywalker. You know, looks like just like he did.
Luke Skywalker.
Well, back 1977. I'm talking about old young Luke Skywalker. And it's like, how do they do that? You know, Mark Hamill's pushing, I don't know, however old he is. And so, you know, we've seen this technique a couple times in the last movies where they use CGI to de-age actors.
Rogue One used it to bring Moff Tarkin back from the dead.
Yeah, and they used an actor that was a similar facial structure as kind of a base, and then used I believe just a series of reference images and you know, all these kind of 3D tricks to put on top of that face and make Grand Moff Tarkin. Now, that was even a divisive choice. You know, people were either kind of loved it or thought it looked too much like a video game. And if you looked close enough, the more I watched it, the more I was like, it's not there. But it was definitely closer than what they got with Mark Hamill's character. And they did essentially the same technique I had thought.
Didn't feel like it.
I don't know. Do you know what the actual process was behind it? But well, basically everyone hated this one.
Yeah.
Oh, hey D, how's it going? My sister's in the chat. Thanks for joining. D, what did you think about deepfake Mark Hamill? Or no, I'm sorry, he wasn't deepfake.
He wasn't.
People say he should have been, right?
He should have been, yeah.
Let's see. Chris put in the chat. CJ. Wait, no, shouldn't it be the other way around, Chris? Because it should be CGI Luke is less than CGI Tarkin is less than CGI Leia. So I think he means CGI Leia was the best, if I'm not mistaken.
I feel like Grand Moff was better than Leia.
Yeah, I see.
I mean, Leia was not bad, though.
I'll have to pull him up.
Well, see, I think that's the major difference.
Chris said Luke was the most well done. Yeah, bull crap.
Get out of here.
So people have
put him in the lobster tank.
Here, wait, I got it.
Get him out!
There you go. But yeah, people have done deep fakes of that very same scene with reference images of Mark Hamill, and it's turned out better. So everyone's saying, why didn't you just do that in the first place? And there's all this like weird controversy surrounding using, because deepfake is still a very new technology in the grand scheme of things, right? And it's just, I don't know why it's not widely used, but it feels like it's because of how controversial it is with, like, you know, stuff like privacy. That's what it feels like to me, is that it's just like they don't want to go there. I could be dead wrong. That's just my feeling of, like, because whenever you hear about deepfake, it's like, you know, we talked about this too with I'm going in 1,000 different directions here, but there was that program that came out for voiceovers where you could take someone's voice and make them say whatever you want. And it's that same thing of you know, it all goes back to taking some, but then everyone's saying they own the rights to, you know, Mark Hamill and his use for the character. So I don't know. There's a ton of stuff that goes into it, but at the end of the day, it looks better.
Yeah. See, in my opinion, it comes down to budget and time. And if they didn't have the time to research how to do a deep fake properly, or even hire anybody to do a deep fake that knows how to do it, I just feel like that comes down to the time and budget restrictions of a TV show. And even though it's Disney, because on season 1, they had to bring in some help from the 501st, which is like the community of people who essentially cosplay as like stormtroopers. And there's like a whole community of people who have their own like stormtrooper armor and everything. They brought those guys in because they ran out of stormtrooper armor. You're Disney. You are Star Wars. How do you run out of stormtrooper armor?
I don't know, man.
But that's the difference between a movie and a TV show. That the movie has the time and budget to make Grand Moff Tarkin or Princess Leia look as good as that did, and they don't have the time and budget to make Luke Skywalker look as good as that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff at the end of the day behind the scenes that I'm sure no one will ever really know why it turned out that way. But yeah, it was just a funny thing. My sister's actually talking in the chat right now. She said, coming from someone who doesn't know all like the technical details, she didn't think Luke's was that bad at all.
Okay, so
there's probably some credence to that of people who don't pay that close of attention, who are looking at the eyeball and who are looking for that catchlight and like looking at lighting, because that's us, really.
Yeah. To be fair, when Luke is not moving or talking or doing anything, he looked pretty fine. He looked good. Like it looked acceptable. For me, it was the animation.
It's funny.
For me, it was It was like it was the emotion. Mm-hmm. There was none.
None.
He was dead.
It was lifeless.
Basically, just lifeless, dead inside.
Well, it came down to performance too. I'm wondering if they did that intentionally, because I was like, why even have an actor just sit there like this? Like he didn't do anything. That's what came off unnatural to me. I was like, normally people move just a tiny bit when they're like, and I felt like he was just like a rock. I was like, did they have him do that intentionally so they could try and make it more believable? I was like, that was what stood out to me, was the motion, actually. I didn't think his face looked terrible initially until you got to like the nod and stuff. I was like, all right, something's effed up here.
Yeah. I feel like a part of them had to be a little bit scared too. Scared to cast a different actor as Luke, because Sebastian Stan, the actor, looks like young Mark Hamill. Yeah. And even Mark Hamill tweeted that he's tweeted that Sebastian Stan has his blessing to play young Luke because he looks just like him. And Sebastian's a great actor. But if you casted Sebastian in that role right then and there, it wouldn't give you the same nostalgia. I think they were really scared to ruin the character, basically. I think they had Disney as overall had such a problem, or the reception that Disney got of Luke's portrayal in The Last Jedi, that they were very scared to mess it up and do anything that the fans would point out immediately, like, that's not Luke. He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't move his arm like that. Or just because he's such a beloved character, I feel like they played it safe and he just stand there. Don't do anything. You're Luke. Like, you don't have to do anything. People are going to lose their marbles because you're Luke Skywalker, so you don't have to do anything. I think that might have been the direction, because they would have a little bit of fear of hurting the character, or I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that was definitely an element.
Theory.
To just like, they don't have to do much to it. It's freaking Luke Skywalker, totally. So so like we said, man, there's still there's a lot that we're never gonna know of why that came out to be what it is. But at the end of the day, still a badass sequence. And that's kind of what everyone lands on, is like, sure, it could have been better, but everything else was pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Of like, yeah, it was a really, really good way to end off. So they nailed the story for sure.
Yeah, I loved it. Gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, gave me goosebumps. Yeah, that was the other wide open mouth moment of like, oh my god. Oh man, it was good stuff. Chris said that his nostalgia hit at the lightsaber reveal when you saw that it was, Luke's lightsaber. I was like, oh, totally, man.
Oh yeah, totally. The X-wing gave me chills just because I had an expectation or a hope rather that like, oh, I hope it's going to be Luke. I have a feeling it's got to be Luke. It's got to be Luke. Who else is going to be out there to respond to the Baby Yoda? And
yeah,
it's like, yeah, they hyped it up.
I
think it was like edited and put together flow wise perfectly.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, the X-wing, yeah, just the reveal, the hype of the reveal to lead up to give you those goosebumps when you see that green lightsaber, the X-wing coming in, the guy in the black cloak that was walking on the security cam, all of those things just help build the moment.
Agreed.
It was done really well.
Agreed for sure, my friend. Agreed for sure. Oh man. Well, yeah. So, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about because when everyone was talking about, what comparing like a deep fake version to what they had, everyone was talking about why is that better? Why does it look better? And is it the lighting? And a lot of people pointed to the eyes and how the eyes, naturally everyone's drawn to the eyes of the face because that's, where we look at people the most. It's where we get the most emotion from, the window to the soul and all that. And so people were asking, why do the eyes look better in the deep fake version than in a deep 3D render? And a lot of it pointed simply to the catchlight. The catchlight in the eye was brighter. I'm not sure if there even was one in the original version. And for people that don't know, a catchlight is basically, I probably have one right now. Yeah, I do. When a light shines directly in the eye, it reflects off and gives you that tiny little bright spot. It's used you see it emphasized in a lot of animation, a lot of Japanese anime particularly, right? You get the big white circle. And I'm not sure what the philosophy behind it is or what the thinking is behind it, but for some reason it gives the illusion of life in somebody. They were talking about, what I wanted to talk about was they mentioned this in talking with the visual effects supervisor of Accordo Digital did a behind the scenes of like visual effects with the visual effects supervisor of the Hobbit movies and the Lord of the Rings movies. Peter Jackson's guy from Weta Digital. And he pointed out that very same thing, that when they were making King Kong, the way they made it seem like Kong was dying with his eyes still open is they gently fade that catchlight. Yep. That's literally it. And he pointed out in that moment of, that's the illusion of life. The way you get that is by adding a fake catchlight. So he didn't really go into detail of that. And I meant to look it up of like, what's the idea behind it? Where does that come from? Of like, why do we perceive that as giving quote unquote life to a character? So for whatever reason, it works because that's one of the reasons that the deepfake looked a lot better. It's because the eyes seemed more lively.
I always use it as a way just to help draw you into the person. Just having that little tiny dot of light tells your eyes where to look.
Yeah,
really.
And another thing is, a lot of people know this from taking portraits, is it can be distracting to have more than one too, because sometimes you can have double or triple catchlight depending on where your things are put, and it gets kind of crazy looking in the eye. But when you have just that one, it feels so natural to just have that one to draw into the subject's eyes.
Even the shape of the catchlight too matters too, because you
could have circle, square, yeah.
People who use ring lights look like aliens.
Yeah, they look like
they look like robots.
Looks like Daft Punk,
or like Bionicles, like they have LEDs behind their eyes.
It's a look though. I think people like that. Or some people like that because I see a lot of people use it for that reason.
Right.
But yeah, straight on though. Yeah, I've never liked it because it just gives you that ring, and it's like, come on, who really finds that pleasing? But
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It draws you in.
Oh,
it makes you hooked to their face though.
You know what we got to talk about exciting news. Have you heard about all these new aperture lights coming out?
Yes, the little affordable ones.
The 100X, 200X, 100D, 200D, and now the 60D and 60X. They are announcing tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I just found out earlier today. Josh sent me a thing. It's like they just keep putting out new gear. Like,
that's crazy.
So I was like, geez, after that crazy announcement. So what I've found out is me and Josh have kind of been digging deeper in this because I think I might want to get one because I have some B&H gift cards I got from Christmas.
Ooh.
Yeah, fun, right? So and they're just so cheap, and I actually want to use it to replace mine because that's just a Philips Hue bulb up there. But also, to use for our stuff, so I don't have to lug the light home from work anymore.
The X?
Because
Wait,
basically,
X?
Yeah, so the X is bicolor and the D is daylight, which I actually just found that out the other day. I kind of put two and two together of like, oh, the D in 100D 20D stands for daylight because it's daylight balanced. That's what the D stands for in every model. What, Mike?
Oh, you know what? Is that a different brand?
Are you seeing Amaran?
Yeah, Amaran.
Because that's just the name of the product line from Aperture.
Yes, that's what it was. See, I thought that's what you're talking about because that's the ones that I seen that were a cheaper alternative.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
That's what you're talking about. Oh, okay.
Because it's Aperture. It's just under a different model.
The X is like better than what we have.
Yeah. So to give a frame of reference, I'm not sure about the X, but I know the 100D is the same brightness or brighter than the 120D Mark II, and the 200D is the comparable to the. I'm sorry. I
think you're right.
The 200D is brighter, if not as bright, or brighter than the 300D Mark II.
Right.
So that's kind of your comparison. They have a lux chart on the website, and the X's are a little less bright because of that bicolor capability, but still, jeez, man,
that's cool.
$350 for the 200X or 200D.
$299.
Excuse me.
$299 for the 200.
For the 200X, I think it's
sorry.
It's $50 more for the bicolor on each model.
Oh.
But yeah, man. This is just another example of Aperture being the number one go-to for smaller video creators like ourselves.
Yeah, the only negative things that I saw from a video that was using them was that they're mostly a plastic build, so they're not as durable.
Sure.
Like that what we're used to. And the 200D, that's a strong one, right? It's 100 and 200. The 200D, the fan is incredibly loud.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear incredibly loud. I heard louder than the 120D Mark II.
I watched the video and heard it. You basically
did they do a decibel reading on it, or did they just because audio and video could be
No, it's loud.
I just wonder how. I wonder if Aperture has a decibel reading.
It seems you can't. If you have to boom a scene, if you're booming something, you have that light in the same room.
Well, it's not like I'm surprised. The thing's cheap and puts out more light than a 300D Mark II, which we know is a sun.
It rivals the sun itself.
So it's not like it's surprising, but yeah, that is one unfortunate downside of the 200 model. I wonder if it's the same on the X. We're just gonna have to see when these things come out.
The 100 model seemed to be the better.
Yeah, that's what I would be looking into because I don't need anything brighter than a 120D Mark II for studio work. The
bicolor function of it, that is appealing to me. Even though I just bought a bunch of colored gels and
it's just one less thing you got to worry about. It
just saves time in assembly.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about it's still got that CRI rating. You don't have to worry about what the gel's doing to your skin tones or whatever.
Right.
You could match tungsten. You could match fluorescent. You could go to 4200 Kelvin. You could match fluorescent. So you could do whatever, man. All compatible. All Bowens compatible. I'm thinking of picking myself up a not a knockoff, but just a different brand of the Light Dome Mark II. Because I have the mini at work, but I want to get the full size for stuff that we do for here, for portraits. There's a pretty cheaper alternative there's one from Newer and there's one from a different company that I've never heard of, but everyone seems to recommend, and it's the same quick snap technology that the Aperture has.
Bowens mount?
Yeah, the Bowens mount and the quick.
And the quick how it opens
the metal
up.
poles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same technology and everything. So if anything, maybe it's a little less durable, but I don't know. We'll see. I think it was like $100, and the Aperture's one's like $250 or $300. So.
Is it one of those giant like octagons?
No, it's a circle.
A circle.
Yeah. You can get the octagons. Most people prefer the circles now, though. I don't think the octagons are around as much as they used to be. But I was looking today at them, and I was like, because they have three sizes: a 27-inch, which is kind of like the Light Dome Mini, the 35-inch, which is the standard parabolic softbox size, and they have a 47-inch, which when you put it out on a tape measure is freaking ginormous.
47 wide across?
Yeah,
47?
it's like 5 feet.
Oh my god.
Yeah, which honestly is what I've seen people use for portraits, because it's just, right? The more surface area you have, the softer the light is going to be, the more fall off you have on a face. In other words, it looks like there's a giant window in front of you, which is going to look super, super natural. But that's really the 35 is kind of a balance between those two things. You still have pretty good fall off, but it's also more portable, can fit into tighter spaces. So I think the 47 is really, if you're explicitly doing that portrait stuff, or need that kind of diffusion, and of course if you can leave it up all the time in a studio space, then absolutely that's what I would do. But yeah, it's definitely like, it's freaking huge. Oh man,
I had it's funny we're talking about aperture lights. I had a shoot today with a client that we haven't shot since before COVID. So I think the last time we shot with them was probably January of 2019 or January of 2020. Wait, no, maybe no. That's not true. December or November of 2019. It was probably the last time we shot for them. And the last time we shot, we had these basically square, they're bicolor, but they're square video lights. So they're no bigger than my hand, like going like this, and they can mount on top of the camera, and we put them on little light stands.
They're Aperture? They're little Amrons?
No. These things are like garbage.
Oh, cheapos. Yeah.
Well, lower than low. Yeah. That's what we had to shoot with.
I've seen them,
at the time. So in their eyes, we went from that and shooting in the same space, and we shot multiple times in the same space with these little lights. We went from that to using the 300 and the 120.
Yeah, I remember those, the little square video lights. Yep. They're like the ones every like wedding videographer starts out with, that have like 9 or like 12 LEDs in them, in like the little thing, battery power, got the little thumb switch on it. Yeah, little bit of an upgrade, huh?
just a little bit of an upgrade today.
Yeah, man. It's good.
It was nice.
Now you know what you're freaking doing. That's well, into budgets,
It's been so nice being able to use the aperture lights, or just be able to use like actual nice lights for work stuff. Yeah, just be able to
quality gear. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's cool to be able to go back to doing some clients that we haven't shot for in a while, because we did this in other few videos. As we start to do that kind of work again, and people are being comfortable. This was like an in-person, 2-person sit down, like demonstration type of thing. So, as our clients get more comfortable, it's cool to go back and do some of the interview stuff and some of the other things that we used to do before we had this equipment, and what we're able to do now. And the quality has just shot up.
I forgot to unmute myself. Absolutely. Yeah, go Aperture.
Speaking of quality and gear.
Yes.
Chris, as you know, we are in the market to rebuy our Blackmagic 6K.
What are we?
Yeah.
No, you don't say.
It just so happens our other one got a little damp.
It got
so we have to,
a little moist, you know.
a little moist.
It took a little
edges.
shower.
However,
not because of anything we did.
we would never. We would never
be that careless.
No, because if we were smart, we would have bought insurance. And
yeah.
We would have insured the camera.
Exactly.
It's an expensive purchase.
Yeah.
We would have done that.
But yeah, so I don't know what looks good. What looks tasty these days.
Well, I was looking at that and I was like, should I buy it? I was gonna buy it.
Yeah.
The financing is like, maybe we could finance it. That might be neat, or I'll just buy it outright.
Wait,
whatever.
Finance what? Wait, what are you talking about?
The camera. Just finance the camera.
Wait, you're talking now? I'm so confused.
Yeah, I was just looking around, but then I saw as I was searching, I was like, oh, you know what? There's a 12K camera that just came out. I wonder what that looks like. And it looked pretty good.
Pretty neat.
Pretty neat. What do you think?
I like it, but I also know like next to nothing about it. I know the specs, and I know someone who has one because of the last episode we did, Mr. Tyler. Oh my God, his last name's escaping me. But Tyler from the last episode we did, he's a, pretty much just works with a bunch of brands. Is pretty much a freelance guy. I hesitate to say freelance because he just does so many high quality clients, but that really is what he is. And he was saying he reinvests almost everything he makes into his business. And when that camera came out, he invested in it not only because of how good it was, how good it looked, how good it is for the time, but he's like, the value you get out of it combined with the fact that he specializes in slow motion videography, slow motion cinematography, really. He was like, it's just, that is the next level for me, for, what I do with my clients. And it made total sense for him, to justify that. But it doesn't need much justification. The price point for what you get is, once again, Blackmagic just keeps doing that. They just keep putting these premium cameras in the hands of lower budget filmmakers, and it's not really low budget, but compared to what you can get for that in other cameras, it's leagues beyond what you could do with that money.
But does it make sense? It made sense for him, but does it make sense for us? Because it's not really a camera.
I don't know.
Me. It's for us.
I don't know. CG Cake says, hi, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. CG Cake, I love that name.
What's going on?
CG Cake, what do you think about the Blackmagic 12K camera?
Is it worth it for us?
Do you think
CG Cakes?
I don't know, Mike. It's tough. I really don't think we need it, because baseline specs, 12K right off the bat, just resolution. No one needs that. I mean, no one doing what we're doing really needs that. We talked about this before too, of like, what does resolution offer you? It offers you flexibility in post-production, potentially finer noise, so the noise won't be as much of an issue, and that's all sensor stuff. But separate from going into details about the sensor, just resolution itself. It's like that's what you're getting. You're getting flexibility in post-production. You're not showing this stuff in 12K to anybody for the next 10 years.
No.
No. So if that's off the table, I have to go into the other, what else you're getting. Color science, Great stuff from Blackmagic. Can also get on some of their other cameras. I think it has that same dual gain functionality. It's all Blackmagic RAW.
No ProRes, all B-RAW.
It's all B-RAW. Actually Tyler did mention that there were some weird things about how you. It was another one of those situations with the 6K where you could only do a certain codec and a certain resolution.
Mm-hmm.
There was some other funny stuff like that. But yeah, that's all I can remember off the top of my head. But off the top of my head, it's like not really the right fit for us, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and that's why some of the negative drawbacks. I mean, just from a perspective of compatible gear, let's say, you almost really can't put that thing on a Ronin S.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
That's right. You get to that, the form factor. Totally forgot about that. That thing's it's a big piece of equipment.
It's lightweight for its.
It is lightweight for the size, but it's a big piece of equipment. He showed me. Yes. I saw it on. It's it belongs on a. It looks like a broadcast camera. It belongs on a shoulder rig. Exactly.
Or a tripod, or it belongs on a tripod. So it would change the way. It would restrict our way of filmmaking. It would change the way we would have to go about some of our filmmaking flow, some of the things that we like to do. It would basically go against all that because you have to mount a V-mount battery to the thing. Now you just add more weight. You're definitely not going to be able to balance this thing on a Ronin. You're going to have to either get like an easy rig, and even then that's not like super smooth. You're going to have to get some kind of. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit in with the gear we have currently assembled and the workflow we have currently built out. It doesn't fit in. We would have to change our workflow to fit around the camera.
It would make things harder instead of easier at the end of the day.
Right. We would have to adjust to the camera.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And monetarily too, we would have to adjust to this camera rather than the camera, working for us.
Yeah, working for us. Yeah. Yeah, especially in an age when things are generally getting smaller and lighter with each generation. This for obvious reasons goes against that. Like it should because of what it can do, but it would just be one more hurdle to actually be able to utilize it in our setups.
I feel like the next Blackmagic Pocket cinema camera would probably be 12K, right? Probably, in the next like 3 years.
Maybe, yeah.
4 years. They come out so fast.
Maybe 8, yeah. I don't know. Well, I would like to see what improvements would you like to see on the 6K besides weatherproofing? Well, I'll tell you a couple of mine right off the bat from just using it from like the music video and Apex and stuff. What were some of my things? Battery. We did wind up solving that, but not in the most eloquent way.
Right.
Yeah, it kind of depends on your setup how you deal with that battery issue.
Once I bought the CFast card, we were okay, but we only got to use it for like 2 of the days of shooting.
Right. I mean, there wasn't that much wrong with it. I was still not impressed with the noise. The dual gain was great, but I think a lot of people get confused by that because there is a difference between how the noise presents itself when you're using when the dual gain mode switches on versus what the native ISO rating for the camera is, because the native ISO rating is not where you get the least noise, it's where you get the most dynamic range. A lot of people mix those two things up, and they're very different things. So the native ISO for that camera, I forget what it is in the
800
in the first gain range. It might be 800, but in the second gain range, it's 3200. I believe. You have to double check me on that, but I'm like 90% sure it's 3200. 3200 introduces a little bit, and you'll say like, wait, why am I getting so much noise in this dual? It's
Native
because that's
yeah.
the native ISO. When the dual gain kicks in is where you get the least noise, which is 1250. 1250 is still not that bright, for
Right.
shooting night scenes. So there's kind of a little bit of I think it got overhyped a little bit with like, oh, dual gain functionality, dual gain. Yeah, noise. There's gonna be no noise. Not really the case. It performs great. Do not get me wrong. It performs great. But you gotta introduce a lot of light if you want to get that quality. We shot most of Apex at 32, and it did well. I saw, it wasn't the cleanest. It wasn't a Sony A7 III or whatever, what everyone compares noise to these days, which is kind of unfair because that camera was just a different beast. But we couldn't go past 32. Once you hit 4 or 5, for my taste, it was just way too much noise. I need a clean image. So that was just one thing about that camera that, obviously we got a lot of experience there because we shot a whole night movie. We shot a whole movie at night. So that was one thing we're really paying attention to. So hopefully they will improve that dual gain functionality a little bit. Did you actually look up what the native ISO was?
No, I know in the 12K it's 800.
Because that could be fucking completely wrong. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum. Why is this not come up like immediately?
400. It's 400 and 3200.
It is 3200. Okay. Ha! I'm
And
right.
400.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So wait, you get the most dynamic stops at 1250?
No, it should be 32. Because that's what native ISO means. Well, it's part of it. Now we're both looking at spec sheets.
Yes.
Oh man. Well, anyway, regardless, it's good to do your own research and like actually look into what fits your needs. And if that's a big part of it, then make sure you research it well.
Yeah, it says ISO 400 will give you 9.1 stops below mid-gray. ISO 1250 will give you 10 stops below middle gray.
Well, the total for that camera is 13 stops.
Yeah, I'm on a video I'm on a page. Oh, it's the 4K. Aha. Wrong camera. Wrong camera. Oh, wait. So wait, that's not the native ISO, the 6K. Hang on.
Yeah, I found it. It's
Is it 400?
It's
still?
400 and 3200.
Okay.
It's wait, it said on Blackmagic's website, it says it's the same native ISO for both cameras, 400 and 3200.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
The stops is what's different.
Okay. That must be what it is. Different sensor technology.
Yeah.
Well, mystery solved.
Did it. We did it, gang.
Yeah. See, this is the fun part, too. Is we can go on the internet at the same time and be like, what is that? We can actually look up things.
We can play games and just...
We could play games.
We could play Warzone on the podcast.
Pop on, baby. Oh, man.
Yeah, so 6K it is. Love it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. So, actually, I have to throw into the ring, too. Because, what else was I looking at? I mean, well, you have the red Komodo, but that's also not really a great fit because of the noise on it too is just not good enough. I think. See, I haven't looked at this stuff in so long. Well, we'll have to ask Josh because he got the red Komodo. Josh,
Well, the Komodo,
are you on here, Josh? Are you on the live stream?
wouldn't that be another example of us having to work around the camera rather than the camera working for us? Do you think the Komodo could fit into our workflow?
The Komodo easily fits onto anything that the Blackmagic 6K does. It's so tiny.
Well, I mean, fit into our workflow as far as like mounts, lenses, batteries.
Yeah, no, all that stuff is pretty damn compatible.
Is it a full frame?
I don't know. I'm gonna try and get him in the chat here. I just posted it to the thing. See if he pops in.
"16 stops of dynamic range." Oh no, it's a Super 35 shutter sensor. Oh, so it's the same. Well, it's probably better, but it's the same.
Well, anyway, so yeah, I mean, there are other things to consider too, because you have the I wonder what that Panasonic S1H runs for these days, because people loved that thing, and that had crazy. Okay, Josh just popped in the chat. What was our question? So Josh, I was talking about the Komodo because we're talking about
2 pounds.
Mike is in. I know the thing's small as hell. Mike is in the market for another camera now that our baby is gone. Yeah, we were just talking about options. Is like, do we buy another 6K? Do we buy another Blackmagic 6K, or like, what are the other options now that we're in the market in 2021? So I was talking about, Josh, I've told that story on this channel multiple times, so I'm not telling it again. He said, why is he in the market, Chris?
It supports Canon EF.
It's in 2 different videos. But no, Josh, we were talking about, so I was talking about noise on the Blackmagic 6K and how I was like, it was good, but I wasn't super impressed with it. What's the noise situation on the Komodo? Has that, because, obviously typically people say, red's not great in low light. Does this follow suit with that? Ryan says R5. I feel like people said the R5 wasn't worth it though. I think that thing was kind of a letdown from what I heard.
The R5 gets really hot and will shut off after recording for too long.
The R5 bursts into flames, basically.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Again, like this isn't. I haven't looked at these in so long.
I'm sorry.
So Josh said the problem with Red and Komodo in general is no in-body anything. So he means no body, no in-body, noise reduction. No, it's very, super raw.
Well, it's the same way as the Blackmagic.
Oh no, IBIS also. Well, the 6K didn't IBIS either.
No IBIS.
Yeah, right, Josh. So do you think that's a big part of Red in general? Well, let me get this straight. Say we're talking about why the A7 III has such a clean image. Does that come from sensor technology, or does that come from like the technology outside of the sensor in the camera? Like you're saying, like Red doesn't have that any noise reduction whatsoever. We might have to investigate that, because I've always kind of had that question in the back of my mind, is like, why is it cleaner? Is it post-processing? Is it doing like, what is all that crap? Like, why? Everyone. Josh says both. That's not really an answer, but
unacceptable.
No, but you know what I mean? It's like everyone knows, it's like, oh, when the lower gain you go, the less noise you get. It's like, but where does the variability come in between different camera manufacturers? Is why can't everyone do the same thing as them? I don't know. It's a whole thing. Food for thought. But anyway, yeah, I know, Josh. I know. We're asking a lot of big questions here. This is just stuff that's coming to my mind. But at the end of the day, the reason we're asking all these questions is because we're looking at options, and it's just interesting to see, what fits into the workflow that we have built for like a small production studio. And I think other people would like that too. Josh, do you want? It might not be a bad little. Josh says he has a lot to say that he can't type about, and he's probably more knowledgeable than I am about that stuff. Do you want to put him in real quick?
Yeah. Komodo has a global shutter.
Yeah, I'll send you the thing, Josh.
He just bought the Komodo, didn't he?
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
I asked him to come on in the first place. Dun, 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 dun. Hang on 1 second here.
I love that.
All right, I just sent it to him.
And it uses CFast 2.0. I have that.
Oh, Josh, you could come on Discord. That's true. I didn't think about that. No, we don't need video. You could do Discord. But then Mike won't be able to hear you. That's the only thing. Just get on audio on Zoom if you can. I don't know if he's still watching the stream.
I want to ask him about the difference between red codec RAW and Blackmagic RAW. How does Premiere handle that as opposed to?
I mean, from my personal experience, I talked about this on the last show too with Tyler of I mean, not that red was ever bad on my system, but I was just surprised how well Blackmagic ran on my system. It was like I could do like anything to it and I wouldn't drop a frame.
In 4K.
Like I didn't even realize that I wasn't running proxies. I was like, and this is 6K. Like,
yeah.
I was like, what the hell's going on? Yeah, I was putting the LUT on it and the LUT was running fine. I know your machine was having a little trouble with the LUT. So there's some spec differences there. But Josh, where are you? I need you. Did I put you in the waiting room? No, there's nobody.
Do you have experience with red code?
Well, only from what Josh used to give me. And that was on my old system too. So, all right, here he is. Mr. Lukowitz.
Am I the lucky caller?
You are the lucky caller.
You have won a gift card to Smacky Joe's.
Congratulations.
Oh my God. Honey, we're going to Florida.
It's always in Florida.
It's funny. I was going to just do audio, but now that you're talking about cameras, I'm like, oh, I should call in with video with the Komodo. So, well, if you give Gramps a second here, he can start setting it up while he talks to you. Yeah, I think. Well, I'll use an interesting example, which by the way, sorry I'm missing some of this. I was catching up on the inauguration. I hadn't gotten a chance to see it today. So, P.S. It seems like, and this is partially opinion based, partially factual. Most camera companies pick a thing to be good at, and then are good at that thing. And the problem with some of the larger camera companies, I'll use Canon as a good example, is they make amazing cameras, but they have to avoid putting certain features in certain cameras so they don't cannibalize their other lines, right? Right, which is messed up because you're right. yeah, and even by the way, some of the newer cameras, and that's every company does this. Sony does this, Canon does this, Red does. I mean, this is, I think, just a technology thing, right? Like, you know, you have to make a new thing that people are going to want. And if you put too many features in the thing, then you can't come out with a new thing. I know DJI has done it and really pissed off a lot of customers with how quickly they turn over products. So I think camera companies are the same. But I'll give an example just saying this. I think everyone kind of picks the thing to be good at, and then they kind of stick to that. So as far as, low light, I think a large part of it has to do with sensor technology. What type of sensor are you using? And then, did you develop that sensor? I didn't know this. Some camera companies license sensors from other camera companies.
Oh.
So just because, yeah. Exactly. And nobody knows, right? And the company can say, oh, well, we have our proprietary this and we're doing, and that's true. But at the actual hardware, a lot of it's sometimes the same. So you might buy a camera that's using a Sony, a Sony chip in it. So first of all, I'll use Red as an example. Red has a camera called the Gemini. It's one of their newer cameras. It was originally, according to them, developed with NASA to send up in spacecraft, right? That's at least what they're saying. Whether or not that's true or not, I know they were sending Red cameras to the ISS for a long time, blah, blah, blah. Well, they're just suggesting that, we as a large camera company get these weird projects from like the scientific community who need cameras for very specific things, scientific things, high frame rate, et cetera, et cetera. Well, turns out they, I guess, were making cameras that had really good low light capability and noise performance, and that was something to do with the sensor. So they have larger photo sites on the sensor and larger pixels, which actually just let in more light, right? Dual ISO, things like this. Needless to say, all of it comes down to what's the sensor like? What type of sensor is it? And then what are you doing once the sensor captures all those photons, all the light hitting the sensor like a piece of film would have? What happens when you process it? Again, I think it depends on the company. Some companies have really crazy built-in stuff. That's where they've spent a lot of time and money. So your image looks really good out of the box. Some companies, like Red or whatever, they believe the opposite, which I don't know if it's convenience or not, but I think it's partially true. The idea is you want to have all that flexibility later, meaning that you're going to capture all this data, and then later you'll make decisions about how much noise reduction you want to do, things like that. So instead of baking those decisions early on, right. Because they're like, oh, the DaVinci Resolve noise reduction that you might do will be better or more flexible to be dialed in how you want. So that's that. And I think that's the dumb thing to say that everybody says, but it's kind of true. So to your point of what camera do you get, kind of depends on what you need, right? What boxes are you trying to check? So you guys do a lot of action stuff as of late, specifically Mike. Is a global shutter important for that? Yeah, for sure. I think there would be a big argument as to why you would want something like a Komodo, besides price and size and all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
But at the same time, if you're trying to turn things around fast, do you want a camera that you're going to have to spend a little more time later on making look better potentially? Right, that's a downside, I guess, of Komodo.
Okay.
Mike, okay.
So I'm looking at, I'm like reading.
Okay.
the specs.
Of the Komodo?
Yeah.
Well, Josh, do you have your video ready? Can you show Mike?
Oh, almost there. I'm
What are
just
you doing?
Well, dude, I have to.
It doesn't have to look like professional. We're just hanging out.
Well, Chris, I mean, you guys are a professional group, so
Well, that is true.
I aim to please, buddy. No, I had all my.
No, you're good, man. You're good. I'm just joshing you. I get it, Josh.
16-bit red code raw format.
Well, I kind of wanted you. I didn't even introduce you, and I want to have something for the podcast. So let me just say that Josh Lukowitz is not only the owner of a red Komodo, but a red Scarlet that he bought back in the day, and you've long been a proponent of their hardware and their software and all that stuff. I mean, how could you not be? This stuff looks so good, right?
I think it's a great camera. I think part of it for me too was a couple of things, a learning experience, which I'm still learning, to be frank. I still, I can make as many excuses as I want. I still haven't spent the time to learn DaVinci Resolve to the level that I should. I think some of it too is unfortunately I think I've gotten gigs as a result of the camera. I think sometimes people can argue, you can argue higher rate, you can argue. Yeah, someone says, oh, well, that camera is good, or that camera will get us raw footage. But most of the people that I understood, and I think this has changed a bit now that raw is a little bit more common with other cameras, but typically people would use red or rent red or want to use red because they wanted the codec. So you were kind of forced to do that, right? They had a really good one of the early raw codecs. So if you wanted to shoot raw,
absolutely,
you're probably shooting red.
Right.
Okay.
The red one, baby. The red one that was famous for overheating and a whole bunch of other crap.
Yeah, and they're still not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh yeah, I mean, in
no camera
in industry timelines, they're still the baby.
Yeah, they haven't been around nearly.
Exactly.
What is it? 2005, 2006? I can't even remember.
Yeah, you would know better than me, but yeah, for sure.
I'm starting OBS. Things are happening. Oh yeah, now we're in business.
I can't wait to see this reveal.
It's gonna be underwhelming. I'll be right back.
I'm gonna have to move my logo. I have to make my logo.
I have to log in from my computer, so stand by. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Oh, he left. Well then. So yeah, it's an interesting thing, man.
For 2/3 more the price.
Yeah, it's like, is that worth it? I don't know.
Is that worth it? I don't know.
What? Yeah, that's $5,000 or $6,000.
6,000.
Yeah.
I feel like.
See, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I feel like we were just getting started. I feel like we pushed our GH Panasonic cameras.
Yeah, I think so too.
Probably to
maybe their limit. The raw flexibility is just like so fucking amazing. It's like one of those things that once you have it, you're like.
I mean, one part of me is like, oh yeah, it served its purpose. Now we can move up and upgrade to the next tier. But I feel like we were just getting started.
No, you're right. You're right.
We haven't even.
Yeah, we haven't
fully.
Yeah, what that camera can do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is too is I pitched the S1H before of like, yeah, it's got great specs, but we've said at the end of the day too, of like, the form factor kind of matters to us, of like feeling like you're using a cinema camera, and not a DSLR. It shouldn't matter, but for some reason it does. And it goes back to my thing of, I have to admit Josh back in here. I'll admit him while I keep talking. But it goes back to that thing of my user interface, my thing about user interface, about being able to do things quickly, efficiently, and that matters to me. It might not matter to other people. But that's what Blackmagic did so well with that camera, is just like having a great clear layout and having it really be built kind of like the Red's UI is built, of like, you see only what's freaking important right when you need it, So that's what I think is part of it too. So that the more I look at that I hate DSLR bodies. They're so annoying.
Is this the Canon?
No, we're talking about the S1H Panasonic. But R5 goes the same goes for that. Just like
a lot of people are saying that about the C70 as well. They don't like the camera body because it looks like a really big DSLR.
Mm-hmm. So what do you have your Canon set up for the, or are you using the?
It's Komodo, baby.
This is the Komodo. Oh, okay, cool. So he's using his Komodo as a webcam right now.
Wow.
Has a look.
The heck? So cool.
It's pretty high quality.
Yeah.
This is an interesting Komodo thing. So look, so I'm changing right now highlight roll off. So look at so look at the back light.
Sure.
See how it's,
look at the lamp.
You see how it's the highlights are blowing out right now?
Yeah.
So this is hard, medium.
Look at that.
Soft. Or very soft. So you're changing how the highlights roll off. And this is like metadata, so it's not baked in. So you could turn that on and off as you want, right? Like this is part of IPP2, which is their imaging pipeline. I don't know how to get to get.
Yeah, no, you're okay.
It's a raw file.
Right.
You can start changing things about how it's processed, and part of the post-processing is stuff called tone maps.
Gotcha.
So IPP2 is like their newest thing, and this just gives you flexibility. So this would be with no, see how it's starting to look flat? This is like no contrast.
Sure.
Low contrast, medium contrast, high contrast.
Gotcha.
And I'm using weird lights and stuff. But
you
get the idea.
You get the idea, yeah.
So again, it's just about flexibility, specifically with their cameras. The idea is, you can really, and this is the best part. I'm changing it from an app.
Right, and their app for that camera, pretty damn good from what I've heard.
So you can see the latency is pretty low. And people use this as a monitor.
Yeah, and even using the ability to use it as to use it for focus. Pull focus on it. It's not like, it's not a long way away from being industry standard, but you can do it, and it works pretty damn well. Look at this live demo we got. It's pretty hot. And you can mark on that, and you could do everything you would do with a normal focus puller.
My vested interest in joining this is to convince Mike to get this camera, or to convince the two of you to get this camera. That's the only reason I'm here. That's the only reason I'm here.
Yeah, no, that app is pretty powerful.
Oh, so you're pro Komodo. You should over the VM.
Well, it'll just make me feel less bad about making a bad decision or something.
We'll all go down together.
No, I think again. I think it's just what you're kind of looking for in a camera. Like, is raw and like, to me, I'll just tell you the pros. The pros of the Komodo: it's cheaper than most of their other cameras, which is nice. It's still very expensive, but compared to the rest of their line, I think it's a way lower investment as far as getting there.
Yeah.
You can use third-party stuff finally, which is nice. You're not stuck using all their, you have to buy a monitor.
That was a big thing they changed with the Komodo too. Yeah, no proprietary batteries, no proprietary media. Can you still use the red stuff with it or no?
Depending on what you're talking about, yeah. And they are like slowly making stuff. Like you can use like Red's coming out with their own version of the Canon batteries that go on the back, but you could also just use Canons. I'm using a cheaper. First of all, I was using Watsons, which were really cheap. Knockoff.
Yeah, those are.
But
get those on Amazon.
And most of their cameras in the past, like on one of those big Anton Bauer bricks, I'd be lucky if I was getting an hour and a half runtime. It was super power hungry.
Yeah.
On this thing, on two small batteries, you're getting like 3 hours, 4 hours, which is a big deal for this type of camera.
Yeah.
Compared to some of the other cameras.
Well, that's the same thing the Blackmagic 6K was doing. It had that battery problem, but those same batteries you're putting on the back, those watts is like the same kind we were using, same capacity, and that would get 3 hours out of that camera. So, but that's native on that camera. There's just, it's got those two mounts on the back. You just slap them on, and the thing's small.
It's really tiny.
What is it?
It's meant to be a crash cam.
2 inches by 2 or 4 inches by. It's a 4-inch cube. Yeah.
How heavy is it though?
2 pounds.
2 pounds.
With nothing on it, right? So what you're adding to it, bare minimum, and that's the other part. You can really not rig it out. Like you could rig it out to the nines and add a ton of stuff, or you could put nothing on it. So for me, I just have 2 batteries on the back. You could even have 1 battery on the back if you really want to run on a gimbal or something. You don't have to have a monitor on it because it has a built-in monitor at the top. So it's a little inconvenient. It doesn't like flip or anything like that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good for
really
most
robust.
cases, but it does have it. Yeah.
Right. So like it's basically camera control, right? If you need to quickly interface with the cameras to touchscreen on top, you can do it. If you want to frame up quickly, you can do it. If you're on a gimbal,
Sure.
You can have it there for reference. But yeah, and a lens, or in this case, I have to use an adapter, but a lens mount.
Right.
Yeah,
it's a hell of a little thing, man. Definitely nothing like it.
It's
for that high quality stuff going into it.
But then you have cameras like the C70 from Canon, which are like incredible.
I know nothing
4K.
about the C70.
Do you want me to talk about that?
I know nothing.
I saw it and then I never actually looked into what is good about it.
This is what irritates me about. So basically,
things freaking fat. I know that. Kind of reminded me of the C100.
Cheaper. Just to give you an idea, for me, I was looking at getting a new camera because my goal is to still sell the Scarlett. It's not doing anything. I just honestly haven't gotten around to it with COVID. I'm afraid to ship it because I had a bad shipping experience with something recently. So I'd like to sell it in person. P.S. The C70, the only cons that I saw that I was hoping Canon would adjust and they didn't, I hoped it had internal RAW, which it does not. And I was hoping it would have some sort of wireless control app like Komodo. If it had those 2 things, I would have chosen it over Komodo. Personally.
Interesting.
But it doesn't. What it does have is amazing autofocus. It's the Canon.
Well, it's always been
dual
them.
pixel.
Yeah. Oh, stuff
which is
smooth
depending on the lens.
as hell.
Yeah. Lightning fast. So, and touch point autofocus, which I didn't mention. Komodo has autofocus, which most Reds don't. So it's still in beta and they're figuring it out.
Right.
It exists. But this is like leaps and bounds beyond that.
On built-in ND filters.
Built-in ND filters,
those
which is huge.
Those have my heart, man. That was like the nicest shit. I don't know why everyone hasn't done that.
So the 12K has built-in ND.
It does, yeah. Yeah.
And with Komodo, one of the things that people
it's fucking better for the price.
Yeah.
It does, though. It has a lot of bells and whistles.
One of the things people like about Komodo is because you're using... It's an RF native lens, but most people are putting an adapter of some kind on it, so like EF or something. You can get EF adapters that have built-in ND filters. So people make them. So basically, you're putting behind the lens an ND filter. So it would be lens, adapter, which has a built-in slot for NDs.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
So that's
a good idea.
A benefit. So you can have built-in quote-unquote ND filters.
Yeah, it's like a little mod.
And a lot of companies make it. Canon makes them. There's another company called Breakthrough Photography. They'll be making them. That's kind of what's missing for me. But R5 has that. Or excuse me, C70 has that. Mini XLR, that's a big deal. IBIS, which I've heard is really good. And slow motion.
Yep.
So 4K 120 with no windowing, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, IBIS is a huge thing these days. Everyone's starting to put it in, but then I don't know, Panasonic took it out and then they put it back in, and they're like, "What do we do?"
They took it out to increase the sensor size.
Is that what they said? Yeah.
The 5 and the 5S.
I don't know. It's a tough thing.
And
I mean, that's just another thing. It's like there's a whole list of things that you have to. You could go in, you could make a spreadsheet and go, do I absolutely need to have this? And then you could find a camera that's compatible with all those things, and it's always a trade-off. And sometimes finding that perfect balance is hard. But things are just keep getting better and better, it seems. So it's getting easier,
A bunch of the forums I was in had people split decisions about cameras, and they were looking specifically at Komodo, they were looking at Blackmagic, and they were looking at C70. And the way people were making decisions were either some of them were buying multiple cameras, but they're constantly doing gigs. They're going to turn those cameras around in 2 or 3 gigs, right? So it's a necessity for their work. It will benefit their work at a fast pace. If you're doing more videography work, I think the C70 is important because you have built-in XLR, because you have built-in ND filters, and because you have more flexible codecs as far as not having to shoot RAW, so it's actually a benefit to you.
Yeah, it's more built out for that.
Right. You can shoot S-Log, you're still going to get a really flat image. You can still grade that with a lot, and the stops of dynamic range on these cameras from the tests I've seen, it's crazy. They're around the same. They're hitting around the same amount of stops. It's like, you know, they claim like 16 and a half. I think in reality, it's like 14, right?
Sure.
And part of the way Canon's getting away with that, again, talking about built-in stuff, Canon's using a hybrid or some, I can't remember their marketing term for it, but their sensor is dual gain ISO, but it's compositing them. So it live, it's exposing your image brighter and darker, and then it's putting it together and you're getting an HDR. You're getting more stops of dynamic range because it's processing two different streams almost of ISO. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So it's crazy. It's really good. Like, you know, you see a shot outside where it's like shadows under a tree and then bright sunny day with clouds, and you're not clipping the
You're not
clouds.
clipping either, yeah.
So that's insane. And I think the way they're doing that is with 2 ISO settings that are like happening simultaneously that you don't really have full control over, but you have some control over.
Sure. Wacky
but again,
stuff, man.
You don't have to sit there and be like, oh, it's like, is it a huge deal it doesn't have RAW? I don't know. That it totally depends on what you're going for.
Yeah, that's all it is at the end of the day. So,
I mean, coming from Blackmagic, I think you'd miss RAW.
Oh, we were just talking about it. It's like once you have it, it's like it's kind of hard to not have it.
Right.
From what we did to that stuff, it's just like it just looks so good being able to pull and twist and do whatever the hell you want in post. Amazing.
This is tough.
Oh man, well, I think we've talked our heads off. Mike, I don't want to keep you too much longer. We've been going for quite some time here.
I crashed, so thanks for letting me crash.
Yeah, dude, no, this was great. It was an unexpected conversation, but a welcome one.
Decision time. I'm gonna buy it live.
I'm sure we'll be. No, you're not.
I'm here for it. What do you think? What do you think the thing you want the most is? That's here. I'll just ask that for you. What do you want? Like, oh, I wish I could, like. I really think such like what feature is super important to you? Or it's hard to say. It might be hard to say.
Well, so for me, I mean, when upgrading or when buying a different camera, I just want to make sure that everything that I already own, it can just fit into what we're already doing. If I have to spend
workflow compatible.
If I have to spend extra money making sure that camera can fit into what we do, or now we got to change what we do because of this camera, those are those are cons for me.
Sure.
We're not that I'm afraid of like having to change, but I'm also afraid of like,
I'm afraid of change.
What restrictions those bring on, what extra finances I'm going to have to put into this camera to make this thing work. And then is all of that even worth it? I could have just got the thing that did work with what we already have. I think it's important to me as we build up our arsenal of stuff that anytime we're going to buy something new, I consider how it fits into what we already have. That way everything can kind of like raise up together.
Totally.
And then as far as like quality and all that stuff goes, I mean, it's important to me what Chris thinks too, because we all work on this stuff together and he's the one who's going to be handling the thing at the end of the day.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
For the fun stuff.
Yes.
But that makes total sense. You're totally right. What you're saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, when it comes to like, I'm not a big slow motion guy. We don't go crazy with slow motion like Tyler does. So it doesn't make sense that I get some crazy camera that can shoot 240p and 4K. That doesn't cool. Maybe, but if I had that, would I do that now because I have it?
Right.
I never did it before. So it doesn't make sense as a purchase though. But it opens doors for future stuff. Future proofing, I guess, is also important.
Yeah.
To some degree.
Having more options, right? Now you have more options.
More options, yeah. But yeah, flexibility and just increasing the quality of what we do.
For sure.
I think the quality is already crazy high.
Well,
the
yeah,
quality.
yeah.
What you guys, and
it's just weighing the options.
The Blackmagic 6K
Well,
is an amazing camera. It stands up to any camera I've seen. I watch a lot of these tests because I like to see blind that I don't know anything, because I put 3 cameras against each other and I'm always wrong. I think everyone runs into that, but especially when it's like gone through YouTube and you're watching on a phone or whatever. But they're all great. Like, I feel like none of them are bad, right? None of them, like, you're never going to buy a camera and be like, oh, this is a perfect time to buy a camera. It's only going to get better. There's so many options.
Yeah, it goes back to 2 conversations of like, the next best thing is always right around the corner. And then it was when I was doing my microphone tests, and it's like, they're not bad. They're just different. And that's such a weird thing. It's like, it feels like one should be better over the other. It's like, it's not. They're just different.
Yep.
And it's annoying as hell. It's like, there's no right answer, right? It's like, there's no right answer.
Right.
It's just what works better for you. You're right. So that's fun. That's great. Yeah, right.
Rent some.
Yeah, absolutely.
And play with them.
Yeah.
Or just, come out here and I'll let you play at the same time you want.
I want to rent lenses.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Renting lenses can get expensive though for multi-day shoots. That's where it comes. It's like, the good stuff, even the rent isn't cheap.
Right.
I know. Like $2,000 for a weekend.
Yeah.
I do think.
Yeah.
Lighting and lenses will be. I feel like now lighting and lenses are the biggest standout things.
Yeah, that's gonna be what really changes. Yeah,
right.
That's gonna be the more of a factor than it used to be. So yeah. Oh, Josh, a funny thing. I just learned this the other day. It's not surprising that I didn't know it because I don't have to. But I was looking. What was I looking at? I was watching a video about. It was a lighting like masterclass thing, and it was one of these times where I was like, I wonder if this guy is gonna say anything that I don't already know. I'm like, probably. He's an industry guy. I'm not crazy with like that stuff. So I was like, let me watch. It was like 30 minutes. And he said a lot of good stuff, a lot of stuff I knew, some stuff I didn't. But one thing that I didn't know that stood out to me, which is, somebody asked a question about anamorphic. And he was talking about like, oh, do you light anything differently with anamorphic versus spherical lenses? And he was talking about what he had on the camera at that moment. And he was like, oh, well, this is a 40 mil anamorphic we got in here, so it would be a 20 mil spherical. And I was like, wait, what did he just say? I didn't know that because you do the 2-time squeeze, it also doubles the focal length, which is why a long time ago I thought to myself, I was like, why do they sell all these like longer anamorphic lenses? Where's the wides?
Yeah.
They already are.
I had the same.
At that moment, I was like, I'm an idiot. But you just don't know that stuff,
I had the same thing as you, dude. One day, I was also looking. I was like, so like everybody's just buying a 40. Like I know 50 mil is like the magic number for a lens, right? Like a focal length 50 millimeter gets you really far and really close and blah blah blah. Why are they only making 40? And I assume the exact same thing.
Nope. Oh man, that was pretty funny. That was like a revelation. I was like, that's why.
And those are starting to get cheap. I think Vazen's the one company now.
Yep.
Like, and again, cheap.
They're
right?
cheap. Well, cheap.
Right. But I mean, I agree with you as far as lenses. That to me would be the next thing I would want to be like, oh man, it'd be really cool. And I think you can argue buying anything to yourself, but I think you could argue lenses will last longer.
Yeah, if you take care of them.
Ideally. And no matter, again, the sensor or whatever imaging thing you're putting behind it.
It should be. Because if you just look at it like today, people still use vintage lenses. Like, those Jupiter lenses people always talk about is like from the 70s. Like people are still using them.
My favorite lens is still that Russian lens, man.
Yeah. So, yeah. Glass is glass, I guess, right?
Well, Chris, didn't someone tell you something interesting about camera body versus glass? I thought someone told you something about a saying.
Did I tell you something?
Something along the lines of.
Oh, something about like they'd rather have good glass on a bad body than a good body and bad glass. I think that is the way it goes. Josh is nodding his head. I see.
No, that I mean I know, you know.
Yeah, I've watched a few videos on that. It seems to be the case. Well, I mean, especially today, we're just talking of like, you know, bodies aren't nothing's really better. It's just different, you know.
I think the only time lenses don't age well is when you just start talking about larger formats. Like I know certain lenses don't cover certain format sizes. So as you imagine, as cameras continue to evolve, eventually the image planes start getting really big, like VistaVision. Like I know certain lenses don't fit on certain sensors because the sensor's gotten so big. So you start getting vignetting. Yeah. Obviously that's like down the line, but you know, I mean, DSLRs, right? Like most people who shoot video, and I mean, still all of my lenses are DSLR lenses. Mm-hmm. So they were meant for a full frame sized lens. So Super 35 is a little bit smaller than that usually, but I feel like that's typically the sizing that of most lenses that people are putting on a lot of these cameras. Yeah. I just caught something falling off. God.
Yeah. Lots to talk about. This I know this is so fun. I'm having so much fun. Oh hey, speaking of cameras, mine just turned off.
You were having so much fun when you left.
I wonder why that happened. Oh, look, it went to my backup camera. Oh, you can see how dirty my room is.
Backup camera. That's awesome.
Oh man, yeah, I don't know. It must have freaking capture card must have messed up. But
Mike, you got a cornucopia of options.
Yeah.
I look forward. I mean, this is like exciting for me. I love when people are looking at gear and getting. I don't know. I just like gear. I think part of the reason I like filmmaking is just I like playing with toys and like new tech and stuff.
Getting new stuff is definitely appeal to that.
And like learning, because when you get a new thing, you're gonna have to learn all the quirks that go with it and all the whatever. So this is really exciting.
Yeah, it's fun stuff.
Well, that makes me think that I should just stick with the 6K and then invest or look for higher quality glass and upgrade our glass from what we've been using.
Could be. Oh, it's gone again. All right. I think we're... Oh, man, too bad. Mr. Caraverdone just popped in the chat. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Garrett. Lads. Oh, man.
What a mate.
Yo, dog.
Happy to see you, dude. Thanks for popping in.
We can't go just yet.
I know. Garrett, I said this forever ago. We got to get you on an episode of the podcast because there's some things I'd love to talk with you about too. He said, so good. Love you guys. Thank you, dude. Appreciate it. Yeah. We're just about to wrap up, but thank you for popping in. Yeah, I think we're pretty much talked out, guys. We talked about so much stuff.
I'm just getting started.
Yeah, I know you are, but you are in a different time zone than we are.
Yeah, I get the handicap. I get the 3-hour handicap.
Yeah, you do. But yeah, if that sounds good to everyone, boy, this has been a fun episode. Thank you for everyone who tuned in on the live stream. So fun talking to you guys. Thank you to Mr. Josh for enlightening us with some fantastic camera details.
Thanks for having me pop in.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, it's been a good one. It's good to see you.
As always, good to see you.
We'll see everybody next time on Until You Make It. Thank you so much for listening or watching, and we will catch you next time. And that's about it.
And that's it.
Are we out? We're out.
We're out. We're not out on the live stream. Here, I'll do a little end screen here. Oh, I don't have an end screen. I have the Tech Lobster end screen. All right, we're just gonna end the live stream.
Thanks for letting me pop in. I was just like starting to type. I was like, I can't type all this. Yeah, man. I don't know. The Pocket 6K is like amazing. It's so small. It's so versatile. The image is amazing.
It was really nice. I feel like we just got started using it.
I think the only downside I